And except a few days before a year passed, the only person who detected anything different was Balaram, which is quite amazing. The amazing thing is he didn't detect it for almost a year. He's Balaram. When Krishna wants to bewilder, who are we? Even Balaram, who's Krishna himself? Balaram, what is this Krishna? How the calves are loved by their cows. Never before did I see such love between cows and calves. Never, and now that I think of it, never have I seen such love between the parents and all the cowherd boys. And there were unlimited calves and cowherd boys. I can understand such love can only be between you and the devotees. So Parikshit Maharaj was asking Shukadeva Goswami that, he was a very, very learned man, Parikshit Maharaj, and he had experience and realizations in the world. And it is just impossible to love somebody else's child more than your own child. Especially when everyone does like this. Even if your child's naughty and your neighbor's child's very nice. Even if your own child causes you distress and your neighbor's child always is respectful to you, still, you love your own child more than your neighbor's child. It's just human nature. So Parikshit Maharaj said, this is just completely, I've heard so much philosophy and I've heard so many stories, but this is unbelievable. Because human nature is human nature. It's very strong. Old habits die hard, they say. How is it possible to love somebody else's child more than your own? And Sukadeva Goswami was so happy with this question because it gave him the opportunity to speak deeper about Krishna. Because Krishna is the Paramatma in everyone's heart. Krishna is the source of all living beings. Everyone is a part of Krishna. The only reason why we love anyone is because of our natural love for Krishna. And that person is a part of Krishna. That is the source of all love. So these are just a few of the preliminary teachings that we find in Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. When Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill, and he lifted it with the little finger of his left hand, he held it up for 7 days. Unbelievable, incredible. And the gopis, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he taught us that there is no level of pure, unadulterated, ecstatic love that is equal to that of the gopis. Sanatana Goswami in his Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he explains various stages of dharma, various levels of love of God. Even on the level of love of God, which is the ultimate realization of all religions. The Bible tells the first and great commandment is to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and to love your neighbor as yourself. According to the Old Testament, the New Testament, This is the goal, the only goal of their religion. Everything else, all the rituals, all the philosophies, psychologies, faith, it's all meant only to bring us to that goal. This is the ultimate goal of the cream of all Vedic literatures. That love is inherent within every being. To awaken that love is our goal. Yashoda, or Brihad Bhagavatam Rita tells how so many levels. The level Narada Muni was seeking to understand what is the highest perfection of love of God. And every devotee was saying somebody else is better than me. Now it's quite an honor when Narada Muni is willing to glorify you for the rest of time as being the highest. It's quite a temptation. Because Narada Muni has his Veena and he's going to make all songs about you and he's going to travel all around the universe. Yes? It's temptation. He goes to Indra. He says, you have attained the highest perfection. Indra said, no, not me. Look at what I did. And Brahma, he has higher perfection. He went to Brahma. Brahma says, no, Shiva's higher perfection. Went to Shiva. Everyone was saying somebody else is better than me. I'm nothing. Ultimately, he went to Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj said, yes, the Lord is very merciful to me, but what am I doing compared to Hanuman? He went to Hanuman. Hanuman said, Ram, he let me serve him, but then he left me. But the Pandavas, they're always with they have such a relationship with Krishna. They're his friends. He went to the Pandavas. The Pandavas said, but the Yadus, Krishna's with the Yadus. He went to the Yadus. Uddhava, Krishna's most with Uddhava. He went to Uddhava. And ultimately he said, even when Krishna sent me to Vrindavan to teach me what love of God is. He sent me to the gopis. So you see all of these self-realized, liberated persons, each one of them is honored and worshipped by, countless people throughout the ages. They all considered themselves very humbled before senior Vaishnavas. And ultimately the conclusion is every single one of them considered the gopis' love to be the highest, the deepest, and the most inclusive. This is who Krishna is dancing with. It's the highest expression of pure love. There's that common story where Krishna had headache and Narada Muni went and asked, sages and rishis, give dust of your feet to apply to Krishna's head. And they said, no, we cannot put our feet on Krishna's head. But the gopis immediately collected dust and said, bring it. Narada Muni said, do you know what will happen? They said, yes, we'll probably go to hell forever. that doesn't matter. If it relieves Krishna of his headache for a moment, it will be our greatest fortune to go to hell forever. That is the level of the selflessness and purity of their spiritual love. That's just a hint. Narada Muni bhajaivi naradhika ramana name. Therefore, Narada Muni, his ultimate glorification is Krishna, who is Radhika Raman, who is giving pleasure to Sri Radha and the gopis. So this rasa lila that we have been reading about is the culmination of us aesthetic beauty. Because in this world, people are attracted to music. Yes? People are attracted to dance. People are attracted to drama. Yes. Just like here in Mumbai, you have Bollywood. There's so much music and so much dancing, and it's all combined with so much drama. That's what I understand. People are very attracted. People are very attracted to cricket and other sports where there's challenges. So Krishna, he kills Aristasura before he has his rasa lila. And so many others. But in this particular chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, we find, in previous, he's not only performed the heroic deeds of liberating so many asuras and had so many incredible, exciting sports with his friends, but the rasa lila is full of music. And the stage setting is described by Shukadev Goswami. You couldn't have made a better set than this. Chandra, the moon, was so proud that his descendant, Krishna, was going to be dancing that night. To please Krishna, the moon was the most beautiful moon in all of the history of creation. Sarat Purnima. Huh? Can you imagine? We see full moons, but when the full moon is manifesting billions and trillions of quadrillions of times more soothing light and beauty for the pleasure of Krishna. That was the type of moon it was that night. And all the trees who were all Krishna's pure, unalloyed devotees, they all started blossoming with all their hearts' love, the most fragrant flowers. Now, when we smell a fragrant flower, I'm going to go into a little science of rasa in this case. When we smell a nice flower, what is your favorite scent flower? Everyone could say. Huh? Some say rose. What else? Kadamba. Champak. What else? Mogra. Huh? Anyways, different people like different flowers. We all have our individual natures. But so many sweet-selling flowers. And some of them are actually quite intoxicating. And they're just, flowers that are growing from a tree. And we collect them, and such a fragrance. But in Vrindavan, these are Paramhamsa, great liberated souls with ecstatic love of God in the form of trees. And all the love of their hearts are manifesting in the scent of their flowers. Could you imagine the scent? One little jasmine flower, or mogra, whatever you call, one little flower from Vrindavan, because it's the bhav of a pure devotee, a liberated soul. That one little flower can intoxicate with aroma the entire city of Mumbai. Yes. And there were millions and millions of such flowers growing on the night of the rasa lila. What to speak of fully blossomed. And the birds, with all the love of their hearts, knowing that Krishna is going to dance with gopis tonight, how they were singing beautiful songs of kirtans. And the whole night, and the stars, and the forest, and River Yamuna was blossoming lotuses. What a stage setting that was. And it was all happening spontaneously as Krishna stood under Bamsibat and played his flute to attract the gopis. Most beautiful scene in the history of creation to facilitate the deepest, purest love between the absolute truth and his lovers. The gopis' love is spotless. It's pure. And the loving exchange through music, through dance, is so absolutely charming. So when we hear this beautiful story with this type of faith, it pleases the heart and pleases the soul so deeply that literally it cleanses all our egoism and selfishness away forever. And the devotees, on behalf of Prabhupada, who wrote this purport, they explain, when we hear about loving affairs of this world, whether it be through books or music or cinema or whatever, it actually excites our material desires. But this has the total opposite effect. It actually exterminates our material selfish desires. But not like the impersonal endeavor for realization. It exterminates by giving us something infinitely higher. The sweetness of Krishna's love. Haribol. Is there any questions? Huh? Oh, just now. Will you be back in the, otherwise we could meet now for a few minutes if you like. No, I'll come back. I'll come back in the evening, for sure. Okay, thank you. Wonderful to see you. Haribol. Is there any questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, you are saying in the class that any person who takes shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam and does hearing and chanting continuously, then he will get the nectar of devotional life. But sometimes it happens this way, that if you go on continuously hear, chant in association of devotees, and there are lots of anarthas and shortcomings in our consciousness. So we have that shelter type of a thing that, okay, if I go on doing this thing, one day or the other, by Krishna's mercy, it will go away. But then, after years and years of devotional life, when you are at the fag end of your life, you see to it that that anarthas are still not yet gone from your consciousness. And you get very much disturbed that now the death is coming nearby and the anarthas have not been eradicated, it has not gone out. And you feel it that you might miss the devotional life, maybe you miss the bus, and might not reach the perfection of your life. And a great anxiety happens in your life that what will happen now? I felt that for my whole lifetime, if I go on doing all the things, it might go away, but it has not gone. At that juncture, what extra endeavor we should do it so that at least we get that shelter and we feel it that we will not miss the burst of devotional life.
I'm trying to create suspense. So are you at the fag end of your life?
I don't know, Maharaj, but I've already crossed 50 years. I don't know, but I've already crossed 50 years. I know.
Crossed 50 years. So is that the fag end of your life?
I don't know, but Maharaj, it is scriptures are very clear enough that after 50, you gave me one example, that when you cross 50 years, I still remember before, I think before 20 years back, you gave me this example. I really took it very seriously. You gave me the signal example. You told me that up to 50 years, you are in a green signal. And when you cross 50, you come in a yellow signal. And yellow signal, you have to understand, yellow signal means from yellow, it will come only red. You are not going to go into green. And one thing which you gave me it really struck me was, yellow signal doesn't remain for a long period of time. Took it very seriously at that time. After 50, he told me you are in yellow. And red can come at any time.
I'm very happy I told you that. Now you're telling me that.
You told me, that's why I told you.
20 years ago, even I wasn't 50. Padam padam yad vipadam natesham. The nature of this world is everything, our life, our property is like that little drop of water on a lotus leaf. It could all be taken away. In the material world, everything is so vulnerable. So we should take very seriously. We shouldn't wait till the actual fag end of life. We should prepare ourselves now. Just like your son, Raghunathji. When you know that he's going to have an exam at the end of his education, As a father, you tell him you have to start preparing now. It's not that the day of the exam you just spend 15 minutes preparing. We prepare now. So that juncture called death, where the soul leaves this body to go to another destination, we should be preparing for it seriously every day. And in bhakti, it's a joyful process preparing for it. By absorbing ourselves in Krishna, through kirtan, through japa, through reading, through hearing, through puja, through seva, through prayer, through association. Just try to absorb yourself for Krishna's pleasure. And ultimately, it's not by the power of your sadhana, nor is it by the power of your renunciation that you can overcome Maya. It's only by Krishna's grace. Taiviheshu gunamayi mama maya durate. Mami vamya prapadyante mayameta tarantite. Ragavesha vamuktaishtu vishayanandriyaishcharan. Atma vashar vidheyatma prasadam adhikachchati. Our spiritual practice is to please Krishna so that we get his grace. So if we're just sincere and trying our best, even when we recognize, as you have recognized so nicely, the incredible powers of Maya and the insignificant of ourselves and our efforts in the presence of Maya. I think that's what you're saying, yes? When Maya is so strong and her influence of us is so powerful and our efforts are so tiny, how will we remember Krishna and love him at the time of death? It's not possible. Maya is too strong. But Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. But Maya is under Krishna's control. So and the fact that you're not totally liberated and ecstatic right now should humble you. Should humble all of us. Trinadapi sunichena. When we recognize that we really are fallen and vulnerable, then in a very humble state of mind, we cry out for Krishna's shelter. We sincerely want to serve and please his devotees. We sincerely don't want to make offenses. Yes? Because we know how powerful Maya is. And we know our only hope is ultimately just to make Krishna happy, just to please him. However insignificant and conditioned I am, if I'm sincere to try my best to please Krishna and take shelter of his name, then by his grace, he promises us, Manmana bhavamad bhakto, just remember me in this way. Become my devotee. And I promise you, I will deliver you. So we are dependent on Krishna's grace. Dina hina yata chilo harinama udharila. Even Jagai and Madhai have attained the highest perfection by chanting the names of the Lord sincerely. Yes?
One fear is there. We know that Maya is very strong and we are insignificant. We realize it to some extent. So definitely we have to give our level best, then only we can expect Krishna's mercy. Because we understand we are absolutely insignificant, only by Krishna's causeless mercy that is going to help us out. Now, how to go on checking it that we are giving our level best in devotional life? Because we know it, then only the mercy is going to flow. So, what is the barometer that we can go on checking ourselves that we are seriously giving our level best in devotional life? Because we might think it, but Krishna might not be thinking on that basis for us. So there should be some checking point where we can check it out that Krishna is really also thinking that we are also giving our level best.
The checking point is to live in harmony with Krishna's will. We have to be sincere. Krishna is giving us the standards through the lives of the great saints, through Srila Prabhupada's teachings. He's giving us the standards we should strive for. May we sincerely strive for those standards, and Krishna will be pleased. It's quite simple. There's nothing complicated or mysterious about it. It's the simplest thing. We just have to have simple heart. Yes, what are the qualities of a devotee? What are the qualities Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us in Shikshastakam? Are we striving for those things sincerely? Is that our aspiration? Are we living a life? Prabhupada gave us 4 regulative principles. Prabhupada gave us this sadhana, these books. He's given us the instruction of how to live with devotees in mood of service. He's given us instruction of how, without ego, to be compassionate toward all beings. And he's given us the way in which we can express that compassion. Everything is so clear. All we have to do is try our best to do those things. And we know for sure Krishna will be pleased. And we know for sure Krishna's grace will deliver us if we just do that. So simple, so nice. Be happy. Yes? Does that answer your question? Really? To answer your question is only possible by Krishna's grace. Is there another question? Yes, please.
What is the role of devotion to Srimati Radharani in Krishna consciousness? How important is...
Give her a microphone.
What is the role of devotion to Srimati Radharani in Krishna consciousness? Or how important is devotion to Radharani in Krishna consciousness?
Radharani is the Hladini Shakti. She's the potency of all devotion, all love for Krishna. Krishna consciousness is as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained, to follow in the footsteps of the servants of Sri Radharani. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radharani. She's Krishna who has come to taste the sweetness of Radha's supreme love, and to also teach us how to connect with that love, which is our ultimate goal. So by following the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and by following the teachings of the servants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are actually directly following the path of Sri Radharani's love for Krishna. That is our movement. Hare Krishna. there another question? Yes.
Dandavad Maharaj, I would like to know, how do we express our love and whom should we express our love to in this material world?
We should express our love to Krishna, just like watering the root of a tree. When we actually express our love for Krishna, it will naturally it will naturally lead to every part of Krishna. So by our service to Krishna, devotional service to Krishna, and service to all living beings, to the Vaishnavas, the conditioned souls. And the greatest way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught, of pleasing Krishna, awakening that love, and awakening that love in others, is through the sincere, humble chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Bol.
Maharaj, in this beautiful story you mentioned about King Rantidev, we see that he was extremely concerned about the suffering of others, and they're not necessarily, he didn't really see that whether they were devotees or just general people who were suffering. But many times we see, Maharaj, at least in my case and the people whom sometimes I interact, that after practicing Krishna consciousness, we become very narrow-minded in our understanding of feeling suffering for others. We make it very, very restricted, just within the maybe the devotee circle, things like that. But in general, we see in these beautiful examples that we have the devotee is very, very large-hearted in his compassion for others and his love for others. So how does a devotee restrict himself not to be very narrow-minded in his understanding? And many times when he practices Krishna consciousness, instead of being soft-hearted, he becomes very hard-hearted in his dealings with others many times. So how do we really balance this whole situation as we practice Krishna consciousness, as we spend more and more time in Krishna consciousness?
It is said that charity begins at home. If we can't genuinely feel compassion and want to serve and uplift other devotees, then it's very superficial and artificial to be thinking that we can do that for all living beings. Of course, devotees can justify anything if they have false egos. And sometimes devotees are very enthusiastic to go out and preach and distribute, but then they feel that they're such great souls that they can harshly break the hearts of other devotees. Yes? Or be careless with devotees. That means a lack of realization, a lack of spiritual integrity. Because devotees are those who have actually chosen in their lives to give their hearts to Krishna, which is very difficult. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, every single devotee who has come to this path, he said, I have shed buckets and buckets of blood to bring them here. So to honor and to appreciate and to recognize how Krishna is so how Krishna is so pleased with the person who comes to the path of bhakti sincerely. Obviously, we show our love for Krishna by showing our love for those who Krishna loves. And through the process of developing this foundation of service to the Vaishnavas, appreciation of the Vaishnavas, then in a very real, genuine way, does that spirit of compassion expand toward everyone. So this is, Srila Prabhupada gave us such a simple balance, that we serve the devotees, we respect and honor the devotees. You know, some devotees we have to keep a distance because they're not good association, but those who are good association we honor and we serve very carefully. And together, as a community of devotees, and individually as well, we're trying to share this great message with the world. Srivas Thakur, he and all the devotees were having kirtan constantly, along with the Advaita Acharya, but they were praying for everyone. Yes, this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. They were together having kirtan, they were together chanting Krishna's names, they were together serving each other, they were giving their lives for each other in every possible way, and as a community they wanted to share this with the whole world. And they were weeping and crying to see anyone without it. That's our life. Does that answer your question? It's not one or the other. They're inseparable.
But sometimes as we do bhakti, you said that after loving devotees, it naturally progresses into loving, in general, everybody. But sometimes we feel that it ends there, nothing beyond devotees. The world outside is like a jury void for us. It is a jury void, but we ignore the people completely and we become very hard-hearted. So is that real Krishna consciousness?
Becoming hard-hearted is not Krishna consciousness. If we're becoming hard-hearted, it means we have the wrong motives. Krishna consciousness means loving Krishna. You can't love Krishna and have a hard heart. If we're becoming hard-hearted, it means we're doing something very seriously wrong. We should readjust our devotional service. And even if we feel having hard-heartedness, we should not speak or act hard-hearted. That's called tapasya. And that's the process of overcoming our hard heart. By chanting the holy names, by hearing about Krishna, we're supposed to be getting a soft heart. But it only really works effectively and quickly when we are in the mood of a servant. Seva, the service attitude. So I may feel hard-hearted toward another devotee, or I may feel hard-hearted toward the conditioned souls, but I don't speak that way, and I don't act that way. And I pray to Krishna from the core of my heart, please, make me a true devotee. And that's the process of bhakti. This is the spirit we should chant the holy names.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Srila Prabhupada is our Acharya. Do we accept him? Accepting an Acharya means following in the footsteps. Acharya means one who teaches by example. So to accept means to follow the example. Srila Prabhupada loved and cared for his devotees so much. At the same time, he was willing to travel. Every devotee who came was only a product of his deep, soft-hearted love for the fallen, conditioned souls who weren't devotees. Yes? If you only love devotees, then we're going to be an extinct species. Because we're all going to die and there's going to be nobody else. The whole idea of a devotee is we're trying to show compassion and kindness to all beings. Nobody's going to be a devotee if we're hard-hearted toward them. Yes? We have to see that potential in everyone. That's what Prabhupada did. Whether they were meat eaters, whether they were atheists, whether they were from a different religion, whether they were high caste or low caste, Prabhupada was compassionate to try to give his life and his heart to everyone. That was Prabhupada. That is the standard. To follow means to aspire, to assist in that way. So yes, there must be a balance. Unless we have very, very strong, loving relationships with devotees, it's practically impossible to be able to do that. That's why charity begins at home. With ourselves, we have to develop this very, very deep taste for hearing and chanting together and serving each other and caring for each other in the Vaishnava community. But the purpose of that is to actually soften our hearts individually and together so that we can share this great, wonderful gift with so many other people, just like others shared it with us. Yes? And to actually be a real well-wisher of others. We really want devotees to be happy. We really want all living beings to be happy. I'll never forget reading one marriage lecture of Srila Prabhupada, where two of his disciples were getting married. And Prabhupada began the lecture by quoting this beautiful Sanskrit verse, "Let all beings be happy." And then he said, "The purpose of marriage is to be happy," which is quite revolutionary. Because as a brahmachari, I never heard it explained that way. As brahmachari ashram I lived in, it was a very different type of psychology. But then Prabhupada wrote, he spoke the beginning of the lecture, "May all beings be happy." And Prabhupada said, this is the purpose of our Krishna consciousness movement, to make all beings happy. And the purpose of marriage is to be happy with Krishna in the center. When Krishna's in the center, there's real, true happiness. So chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Thank you very much.